Harley just unveiled 5 new bikes for 2026, and dealers are already whispering that they weren't built for riders. They were built for investors. Prices climbed, comfort dropped, and some of these innovations look more like cost cuts in chrome. I pulled the specs, the dealer sheets, and the early ride reports, and one of these bikes could be the biggest regret of the decade. Stick around. By the end, you'll know which 2026 Harley to ride and which one to run from. Number 5. Harley-Davidson Pan America. 1250 Special Adventure used to mean leaving the badge at home. Then the Pan America proved you could keep the badge and still chase gravel, wind, and distance with purpose. It does this without theatrics or pleading for approval. The numbers matter, but the feel matters more to seasoned hands. The Pan America stands tall, settles low, and keeps balance honest at every stop. You notice calm right away. The windscreen trims shaking that once punished necks. Mirrors stay readable at interstate pace. The cockpit keeps choices simple. You see the route, not a screen show. The motor prefers steadiness. It pulls from the center and hates drama. Short shifts reward you with range and a clear head. The front brake speaks clearly. Initial bite is measured, then power arrives smoothly. Suspension is a patient partner. It reads broken roads without flinching. On gravel, the chassis stays composed. Standing comes naturally. The waist is narrow where legs need it most. Sitting feels familiar, not foreign. You climb off tired, not sore. Heat management respects summer. Air finds your shins. Boots do not bake at long lights. Lighting earns confidence after dark. The beam fills edges. The Pan America likes honest work. It does errands and escapes with equal dignity. It carries tools and layers without turning wide. Luggage fits tight to the body. Weight stays low and close to the spine. Lane splitting, where legal, feels precise. Electronics stay quiet until needed. Rain mode saves pride when paint turns slick. Off-road mode loosens the leash without removing the net. The screen is bright in noon sun. Older eyes do not fight glare. Fuel range buys time. You choose pie over pumps. That small gift changes evenings. Maintenance proves friendly. Panels remove with patience and simple tools. You can reach filters and drains without blood. Fit and finish look earned, not flashy. Metal shows texture. Paint catches light without glitter. Grip heaters extend spring. Seat heat pushes autumn deeper. The season grows by weeks. You feel the frame's honesty in cross ones. It nudges once, then holds a line. Shoulders relax as minutes lengthen. It is not a showpiece. It is a partner that makes miles cheaper. Fewer aches mean more breakfast rides. Experienced riders will respect the front tire's feedback. It tells the truth early. That warning buys time to fix errors. Cornering aids intervene like a mature friend. They help, then get out of the way. Pride remains intact because judgment still leads. On graded dirt, roll the throttle and breathe. The rear finds bite without tantrum. You feel the motor climb with dignity. On slab, the Pan America hums at a calm rhythm. Vibration sits below annoyance. Conversation through headsets stays clear. Standing on pegs, you remember 2 strokes and rough shortcuts. Throttle discipline returns. The body thanks you at sundown. Sitting again, you tune the windscreen a notch. Buffeting softens. The helmet quiets at fuel stops. This bike respects time more than trends. It trades chrome for competence. It trades empty noise for range and control. Riders our age value that exchange. We ride for peace, not applause. Torque still matters when days run long. The Pan America lets pride and comfort share a garage. It adds horizons without stealing Saturdays to recover. That balance feels like wisdom. If you keep an old tourer, this complements it. The pair covers every season. The garage begins to look like a plan, not a museum. If you ride alone, the bike feels complete. If you ride 2 up, it stays polite. Ergonomics remain kind when weight and weather turn unkind. Every control carries weight and purpose. Nothing feels toy-like or brittle. The machine reads like a tool built by people who ride. Beneath the tank beats 150 horses from a 1,252 cubic centimeter engine, pushing 94 pound-feet of torque with unshakable precision. Dual front disc with radially mounted 4-piston calipers pair with a single rear disc and anti-lock braking system for confident control. The electronically adjustable semi-active suspension adapts instantly to every surface, keeping the ride balanced and responsive. Wet weight lands at 569 pounds, seat height at 31.1 inches, with a starting price of $19,999. Pure performance shaped for riders who refuse to compromise. That machine proved Harley could climb mountains and break boundaries. But the next one shows how it brings that same grit back to the streets where legacy was born. No. 4. Harley-Davidson Lowrider ST. Some bikes shout for attention. Others earn it through miles. The lowrider finds its voice in the steady growl of torque and the quiet confidence of balance. It is built for riders who still believe that a motorcycle's worth is proven on the road, not on a screen. From the first roll of the throttle, the lowrider feels direct. Power builds smoothly and stays usable, even at modest speeds. The motor's sound is not a bark, but a statement. Steady, deliberate, and loyal to those who ride for hours, not minutes. The fairing cuts through crosswinds with calm precision. It shelters without smothering, and older shoulders can finally relax again. On long routes, that small mercy counts more than horsepower figures ever could. The geometry keeps the front planted when sweepers stretch wide. The bike leans willingly and recovers predictably. Veteran riders will notice how much less input it needs in corners. The balance feels honest, and the response feels earned. Mid-controls keep the body engaged, knees tucked, and posture stable for the long haul. It is that blend of old-school position and new-school control that makes the lowrider a machine you do not fight. You cooperate with it. The seating posture feels natural, not forced. The bars sit where wrists prefer, not where style demands. Mirrors show the lane instead of the sky. The grip's damp vibration just enough to keep hands awake but not numb. You settle in, not down, and that subtle difference shows when the day stretches beyond 200 miles. At highway speed, the wind dances clean over the fairing edge. Noise drops. Focus returns. The seat, firm but shaped with purpose, supports the lower back instead of punishing it. Riders in their 60s or 70s will notice how fatigue arrives later. Every stop feels optional, not mandatory. Braking feels strong and transparent. The lever engages early, then deepens with a confidence only solid calipers and good pads can offer. On back roads, the rear pedal helps trim speed without drama. The anti-lock braking system steps in smoothly, keeping the ride composed even on gravel shoulders. You feel in control, not corrected. Suspension tuning is a quiet success. It is firm enough for aggression, but forgiving enough for touring. The fork responds quickly to rough pavement, and the rear shock keeps traction where it belongs. You sense the road's character, not its cruelty. When weight shifts mid-corner, the bike holds steady. That predictability gives older riders the trust they crave on unfamiliar routes. In towns, the lowrider feels lighter than its specs suggest, with a smooth clutch, precise gearbox, and linear throttle that make low-speed handling effortless. It rewards patience and control rather than ego. Fuel economy is respectable. The tank shape provides a firm grip in wind, and every control suits gloved hands. Maintenance remains simple. Oil, belt, and filter checks still feel built for the rider's garage. The design fuses modern intent with old steel integrity, its deep paint and tight bags blending strength with purpose. Heat management is vastly improved, guiding warmth away to keep summer rides tolerable. A quiet gift to those who remember burning through traffic lights. Sound remains the soul, low, deliberate, and authentic, echoing the brand's heartbeat rather than chasing noise. Under bridges, its tone carries memory, Long rides, lost friends, open mornings. The lowrider redeems past excess, focusing again on substance, real damping, real brakes, real ergonomics. Its stance commands respect through proportion, not arrogance. Every line flows with timeless precision. For seasoned riders returning after years away, it delivers balance and understanding, offering power without intimidation and comfort without compromise. It's a machine that reminds you why riding mattered: control, rhythm, and the unbroken pulse of freedom. Wet weight is 721 pounds. Seat height is 27 inches. Starting price is $23,399. The lowrider's legacy is not in horsepower charts. It is in the miles it turns from chores into memories. Every start feels reliable, every curve familiar, every destination optional. That kind of trust is rare. The next machine on this list carries that same honesty into the touring world, but delivers it on a grander scale. Power flows through this machine with 105 horses driving a 1923 cubic centimeter engine built for raw, confident pull. Twist the throttle and feel 125 pound-feet of torque surge forward. Steady, muscular, unmistakably American. Stopping power comes from dual front discs with fixed 4-piston calipers and a single rear disc guided by an anti-lock braking system for control you can trust. Beneath it all, a 43mm inverted single cartridge front fork teams with a coil-over rear monoshock, delivering balance that turns long rides into effortless precision. Performance met purpose there, yet Harley wasn't finished. What comes after redefines endurance and craftsmanship for those who still measure time in miles, not minutes. Before we roll into the next one, gear up right. I've linked my go-to gears and accessories in the description. Take a look, then let's keep going. Number 3. Harley-Davidson CVO Street Glide. Every generation of riders measures touring comfort by one benchmark, and the Street Glide continues to hold that title. It is more than a motorcycle. It is a declaration of endurance and a reminder that refinement and strength can still share the same tank. For the rider who values long-distance control and quiet authority, this machine represents the highest point of evolution in the touring line. At idle, the Street Glide sounds like a steady heart. Twist the throttle, and that sound turns into motion that carries miles with quiet confidence. The power feels immediate yet calm, enough to remind older riders why torque has always mattered more than horsepower. The seat supports the spine without sinking, and the handlebars fall perfectly into the natural position of a relaxed grip. You settle into the cockpit and everything feels measured, like a handshake between engineering and patience. The fairing is the soul of this motorcycle. Wind management has matured over the years, reducing fatigue and cutting buffeting even at sustained highway speeds. Older riders will notice less shoulder strain and fewer head shakes when trucks pass by. Crosswinds that once demanded muscle now demand only composure. That is progress built for endurance, not vanity. The braking system offers the kind of control that turns potential panic into poise. Squeeze the lever and the front digs in with steady precision, never grabbing too hard or too soft. The anti-lock braking system waits in the background like a silent guardian, there when needed but never intrusive. It's a system that earns the trust of riders who remember the days before such safety nets existed. The suspension tells its own story. The inverted fork absorbs sharp impacts with calm restraint, and the premium rear shocks adjust easily for passengers or heavy luggage. The bike rides firm enough to stay confident in corners, but soft enough to glide across expansion joints. This balance defines the Street Glide's character. It smooths out rough miles without dulling the road's truth. Technology quietly supports comfort here. The infotainment system, large and clear, organizes navigation and music without distraction. Buttons are placed for gloved hands, and volume control doesn't require eyes to leave the horizon. For riders who prefer substance to flash, this is how modern technology should feel: present but never intrusive. Heat management on the latest model improves comfort during long summer days. Air channels flow around legs instead of trapping warmth. Combined with the improved fairing vents, riders can spend hours in the saddle without feeling baked by their own exhaust. On cold mornings, the motor's natural warmth becomes an ally again, reminding you of the old days when the engine's heat was part of the ride, not a design flaw. The Street Glide's design honors heritage while refining it, blending smooth tank lines, deep paint, and chrome used with restraint. It doesn't shout for attention, it earns it through precision and confidence. The motor's rhythm defines its soul, delivering a lazy, content pull at low RPM and a timeless surge of torque when opened up, offering satisfaction instead of shock. That direct link between wrist and rear tire gives riders mechanical honesty rarely found today. Two-up balance stays predictable, with supportive footboards, stable seating, and luggage compartments built for real use, every latch crafted for riders who pack for the long haul. Lighting sets a benchmark, headlamps cast an even far-reaching beam, and tail lights glow with confident clarity, ensuring visibility for older eyes that still chase horizons after dark. At highway pace, vibration melts into a calm hum, mirrors remain steady, and headsets stay clear without volume battles. Each control, the grip, lever, and shifter, feels crafted for endurance, not fashion, carrying decades of refinement that reveal themselves after hundreds of miles. The Street Glide doesn't chase trends, it preserves a standard built for riders who measure quality in silence, torque, and trust. It's a living legacy of craftsmanship, designed for those who still ride for the road itself. When you dismount, you feel gratitude instead of relief. That's the true measure of a touring bike. The day felt long but not punishing. Your hands still work, your back still moves, and your mood still lifts at the sound of that cooling motor clicking down. Power meets poise with 115 horses from a 1977 cubic centimeter engine, delivering 139 pound-feet of torque. Dual front discs, 4-piston radial calipers, and premium suspension maintain perfect balance. Weighing 838 pounds with a 26.7-inch seat, the Street Glide starts at $44,499. The standard of comfort has been raised, but Harley's story of dominance keeps building. The next machine fuses power and elegance into something few riders ever truly master. No. 2. Harley-Davidson CVO Road Glide ST. There are motorcycles that define performance, and then there are machines that redefine what touring performance means. The Road Glide stands as the flagship of American long-distance mastery, a bike that turns power into poise and comfort into control. It was built for the kind of rider who has spent decades on the highway and still expects more from every mile. The first thing you notice is the silence before the storm. The motor idles low, pulsing with quiet authority, a sound that feels less like noise and more like promise. Twist the throttle, and the Road Glide moves forward with deliberate strength. The torque builds steadily, not to impress, but to assure. Every ounce of its muscle feels earned, every vibration balanced by engineering meant for real miles, not showroom lights. The fairing defines its shape and its soul. The shark nose design, refined through years of wind tunnel testing, cuts the air cleanly, protecting the rider from buffeting that once made highway days a test of endurance. It holds steady in crosswinds, glides through open stretches, and never loses composure. For older riders who have logged tens of thousands of miles behind batwing fairings, the change feels like rediscovered peace. The seat of the Road Glide is sculpted for true distance, aligning spine, arms, and legs in natural symmetry, while wide footboards and forgiving grips keep fatigue low through long miles. Throttle response is smooth yet strong, with the 6-speed transmission clicking into gear with mechanical precision that restores the rider's sense of command. At 70 miles per hour, wind fades to a whisper as the fairing channels air cleanly and the exhaust hums with deep confidence. The Showa suspension reads the road instantly, absorbing rough pavement while keeping the bike poised and steady, its rhythm matching the rider's heartbeat. Dual front discs and an anti-lock braking system provide composed control, ensuring safety through blind curves and wet highways. The Skyline infotainment system, clear and glove-friendly, blends navigation and music without distraction. Venting channels carry heat away, turning midsummer rides from punishment to pleasure. Every contour of the design shows purpose. Metallic paint, subtle chrome, and a stance that radiates strength without ego. Bright LED lighting cuts through darkness, bringing clarity and calm. Out on open highways, torque flows endlessly. The road stretches beneath and the machine feels timeless. A living memory of freedom, endurance, and craftsmanship that refuses to fade. Off the highway, it handles parking lots and small-town turns with surprising grace. The balance remains central and manageable. You feel the weight, but it never feels heavy. That distinction is what separates experience from exhaustion. It's a bike designed for those who have already proven themselves and now seek a machine that respects that experience. When the ride ends and the motor cools, what lingers is gratitude. You step off with ease, stretch without pain, and look back at the bike with quiet pride. The Road Glide does not demand admiration. It earns it. It embodies the belief that performance and maturity are not opposites, but partners. Dominance begins here. 127 horses surge from a 1977 cubic centimeter engine, pushing 145 pound-feet of torque with unshakable authority. Dual front discs with 4-piston radial calipers and a single rear disc, guided by an anti-lock braking system, deliver precise stopping power. A fully adjustable Showa front fork and premium adjustable rear shocks carve every mile with confidence. Weighing 890 pounds and sitting at 26.8 inches, it feels commanding yet composed. Starting at $54,999, this machine represents mastery refined, a rider's reward for those who've earned every mile. Perfection on pavement deserves an air, and Harley saved its purest expression for last. This final bike isn't just a conclusion, it's a declaration of what riding still means in America. Noel 1. Harley-Davidson Street, Bob 1. 14. Some motorcycles speak to rebellion, others whisper to loyalty. The Street Bob belongs to both worlds. It is the purest link between Harley's working-class roots and its modern engineering. A stripped, honest, all-torque machine that turns every ride into proof of purpose. For riders who still measure a bike by how it feels under throttle, rather than how many screens it carries, this one delivers the reminder that simplicity never lost its edge. The Street Bob greets you with humility, a clean tank, narrow bars, and that unmistakable low stance. You swing a leg over and find the same straightforward seating position riders have trusted for generations. Nothing feels forced. Controls rest where hands and feet expect them to be. The tank rises just enough to remind you that it still holds real metal. One press of the starter brings the 114 to life, and its deep cadence fills the air with purpose rather than volume. It's a sound built for backroads, not boulevards. On takeoff, torque arrives like a slow-building tide. The first gear pulls long, and by the second you already understand why this model became a quiet legend among riders who love mechanical honesty. The gearbox feels deliberate, every shift distinct. That small resistance in the lever is a promise, proof that this engine still wants to be part of the work, not above it. On city streets, throttle response stays calm, predictable, and fully under control. The clutch is light, the balance reassuring, and the low center of gravity keeps the bike agile without losing its weight-based confidence. Out on the open highway, the Street Bob settles into a rhythm only a big twin can create. At 60 miles per hour, vibration turns from chatter into heartbeat. The mirrors remain clear, the bars stay steady, and wind passes evenly across the chest. Riders used to older Harleys will immediately notice how refinement has matured without dulling the character. The 114 power plant breathes easier, runs cooler, and pulls longer, yet the familiar soul remains untouched. The seat's simplicity hides its wisdom. It places the rider low enough to flat-foot easily, yet keeps knees at a natural bend for long stretches. Over time, it molds to the body in a way that expensive touring saddles sometimes forget. For many veteran riders, this ergonomics balance is the reason they return to the Street Bob year after year. It feels like home from the first mile. Braking control on the Street Bob carries a subtle precision. The single front disc and rear pedal paired with the anti-lock braking system create steady confidence for slow-speed maneuvers or gravel stops, letting the bike halt as gracefully as it accelerates. Handling reveals its neck strength. The frame geometry and tuned suspension make cornering natural, while the hidden rear shock preserves the hardtail look, yet shields the spine from rough pavement. Fuel range stays practical for long stretches, and maintenance remains simple enough for riders who still trust their own hands. Its design honors Harley's minimalist heritage. Matte finishes, blacked-out motor, and narrow stance form a timeless muscular silhouette that rejects excess and demands respect. Older riders recognize its honesty. No massive fairing, no distractions, just sound, steel, and the smell of combustion. The Street Bob proves evolution can refine without erasing identity, blending improved balance with the same torque-driven soul that made Harley part of America's backbone. Every mile feels personal, a quiet reminder of rides past open skies and mechanical truth. In a world chasing novelty, this machine stands steady, an unbroken link between simplicity, pride, and the enduring heartbeat of real motorcycling. Simplicity carries strength here. 87 horsepower and 1,868 cubic centimeter engine built for honesty, not excess. With 110 pound-feet of torque, it pulls steady and true, every twist answering with purpose. A single front and single rear disc backed by an anti-lock braking system provide reliable control without overcomplication. The dual bending valve front fork and hidden rear monoshock smooth the ride while preserving that old-school stance riders still crave. Weighing 655 pounds with a 26.8-inch seat height, it feels grounded, approachable, and authentic. Starting at $16,999, this machine doesn't chase trends. It carries the soul of Harley forward, pure and unfiltered. So there it is, 5 new Harleys that prove the badge still means something, but not everyone earns it. Some were built for the road, others for the showroom. If you've ever bled on your knuckles changing your own oil, you already know which ones deserve your miles. Drop your thoughts below. What year and model are you riding, and how's it holding up? Hit subscribe if you still believe in real bikes, real talk, and the freedom they used to stand for.